Will some millennial who's nostalgic for Forza pay over $100,000 for a Mustang that looks like one you could buy on Craigslist for $3,500? Let's find out. Nerd! Bit Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show. Get those nerds! Where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Haggerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds.
All right, JP, I picked this car just to rub your nose in it. What we're talking about also on Bring a Trailer is this 2000 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra R, the car that is the bane of John Polnick's existence. Our car is offered out of Hueytown, Alabama. It is number 27 out of just 300 produced, and this particular car, John, has 717 miles on it. So some dealer principal bought it and probably drove it as a demo, but it's probably still on its original MSO. I'm making that up. I don't know if that's true or not, but like this car, it doesn't even have 1,000 miles on it. JP, it's 717 miles. They haven't even put gas in this car more than 3 times in 23 years. Really special car, JP. So the guys at SVT, the special vehicle team at Ford, decided to make a Cobra R that would literally be able to go head-to-head with a Corvette on a racetrack and do something special. So what they did is they took the old sort of Fox body platform and they gave it an independent rear suspension. That was the main modification to the handling on this car. Obviously, it's got these really big, beautiful 17-inch alloy wheels that I think are like 8.5-inch wide, if my memory serves me. Oh, they're 18-inch wheels that are, I think, 8.5-inch wide. You got Brembo brakes, Eibach springs, Bilstein shocks, a huge rear wing, a 6-speed manual with a short throw shifter in it. It's got side exit exhaust. But the real story is this rev-happy 5.4 liter double overhead cam V8 that is under the hood that made allegedly 385 horsepower. But I think a lot of people dynoed them and said they were actually putting down 385 horsepower. So I think they were easily over 400 horsepower and 400 pound-foot of torque. Big front lip spoiler. In the end, JP, a lot of the switchgear is that of a cheap $23,000 Mustang from Imperial. I know you would take this car to task by suggesting that it's not special enough, and why on earth would anybody pay 6 figures for a car like this? And you said there's no way these cars are worth the money. And I'm just telling you, when Ford, a company that big that has that many fanboys, puts a special car out there and numbers it, and then really limits how many they produce, in this case, only 300. This is one of the rarest Ford Mustangs they've ever made. They're going to bring the collector money all day long. This one looks to be in spectacular condition with under 1,000 miles. This is the one that somebody would want to put away and hermetically seal, which has been done so for the last 2 decades. JP, I present to you the stone in your shoe, the Mustang SVT Cobra R, and I promise you this car is going to go for over 6 figures. So, John, tell me what you like about it and tell me what you don't.
I'm not going to go too deep into and all over this one. I mean, hey, look, this one at least has that stupid front lip that I think the last time we talked about one of these, it was missing. And I could see why everyone's like, well, why didn't they just get another? I mean, that is just ridiculous. Ford sensibilities are just, the design sensibilities by the Americans have always been terrible. I appreciate this car that it exists. I see no value in spending the extra money for it. Isn't the Fox body? You said this is a Fox body. Isn't the Fox body the previous one?
Yeah, but
this is something else, right?
Yeah, but like this is an evolution of the Fox body platform.
Okay,
they were all live rear axles. One of the things that made this car so special was that I think it was the first time that you could get a Mustang for the road that had an independent rear suspension from the factory.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's a ton of fun. I just hate the look of this car is just so dang ugly. And it looks, look, seriously, nothing has changed at Ford. I mean, they just came out with this monstrosity. It's just
such
like
a great juxtaposition. That absolutely looks like an evolution of the car that we're looking at. That is
right.
So
I mean, this is
funny.
it's like, oh, if we tack a bunch of junk on it, if we try to copy people who do things better, oh, if we put the fender gills on it like the GT3 and the big scoops, on, the backward scoops on the hood, and it's like, come on, guys, you're paying just okay, fine,
so funny.
Whatever.
That is so funny. Go back to the same photo of the current Cobra R. Like,
right? I mean, it's just like, sorry,
it absolutely.
It's
history repeated itself. Yeah. Look at the
just,
gills on the
a
hood.
bunch of doodads. Yeah. You got the gills on the hood. You got the big stupid spoiler. The only thing is, I wonder if the air intake on the back, right? So you got this little air intake, and you guys see my. On this generation of Mustang, I always hated the fact that went nowhere. Like this air duct doesn't do anything. Can you guys see it there? That's like it's plugged up.
Yeah.
That's just adding drag to the car. Does this air duct go any? Do these go anywhere? Or are they just for looks? I don't know. I'm sure on a $300,000 car, they probably do something. I would hope. But all right, what's some idiot going to pay for this thing?
Oh, JP, I hope you're sitting down, my friend. All right. Ford Mustang Cobra R, who, by the way, is selling the week of that new, what do they call that thing that just dropped?
GTD, I think, the Mustang GTD.
Yeah, GTD, the Grand Touring Daytona class.
There you go. You, Mr. X.
All right, John. All right, make sure you're sitting down and strapped in. Our car is currently sitting at $115,000 on 8 bids. The high watermark for this car is around 140,000, and I actually think this car is going to get it. So I'm literally just going to transpose the highest result from one of these, and it's because this one's in good condition, and ultimately it's because it's showing less than 1,000 miles. Nobody's been tempted to drive this thing. It's just been being saved for the next guy, as you said to Adam Carolla once upon a time. So I'm going to give you $140,000 for the Mustang Cobra R. What do you think?
I don't pretend to have any idea. I can't get in this person's head. I know that this car is special to a certain demographic. It ain't me. But I'm just going to go soft just because it's soft. So what was your number?
140.
Yeah, I'm going to go 130. I'll park at 10 grand underneath you and just take the under on this. Let us know what you think this Cobra R will bring. Will it bring all the money? Will it set a new record, or will it peter out because we're seeing a bit of a correction? Now is the time to place your bid in the comments below and see if you're better at this than we are. You probably are. And Nerd Nation, if you've been watching this, thanks so much for hanging out. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas.
What we're talking about now is the 2000 Ford Mustang SVT Cobra R. This car is showing just, and I mean just, 717 miles, and it's located in Hueytown, Alabama. Of the 300 produced, this car is numbered, and it's number 27. JP, when we looked at the last one of these, the guy didn't even bolt on the lower rear spoiler, and it had twice as many miles as this car. And you and I joked that the car was unsellable because he didn't even have it completed for the photos he took. So I thought this would be kind of fun for us to look at it because the front spoiler was intact. Let's see how far this guy could go. So without further ado, John, I wanted to prove to you that even though you don't think anybody wants these cars, these numbered limited edition Fords that are made by their Skunkworks team always bring stupid money. So I said $140,000 for this sub 1,000 mile edition. You, of course, the more pragmatic one, said $130,000. Wade, I send it over to you. You obviously are into big muscle. Here's a V8 and an ostentatious wing for you.
Wait.
Any love?
Hold on. I want to hear from Wade, but I need to point something out. You just said that I said nobody wants one of these. I said you're a nobody if you want one of these.
That's a distinction.
Important distinction. I'm sure there are lots and lots and lots of nobodies that want this stupid car.
Yeah, it's
sorry. Go ahead, Wade. Please.
It's interesting. So this is a really interesting car. I actually had a 1/18th model of this car, the Cobra R.
Really?
As a child, yeah. And
here you are, somebody.
It depends on who you ask. I've grown up a little bit, but it's a really interesting car because it's really one of the first track-focused Mustangs. It was at that time
independent rear suspension. Yep.
Yeah, at that time it was kind of unheard of, especially for a Mustang from Ford, from something you could buy. It probably didn't get the love it deserved at the time. I know it's gone up in value. I think that example there is probably one of the best ones you'll find, and it's going to go to somebody who's never going to drive it. They're going to put it next to their other Shelbys, their Ford GT, their whatever else they have in their hangar, their warehouse, and it's never going to be driven. But if you want that car, that's probably one of the better examples, and it's complete. I saw your guys' episode where the front splitter on that other one wasn't even included. Who knows where it went? I don't know. I mean, come on. So I think that's probably a $128,000 car, which is a lot for a Mustang, but if you're going to get one, that's the one. And I will say one more thing. I'm interested to see comparatively how a Mustang GTT that was just announced kind of changes Mustang market, Mustang buyers, Mustang interest. I don't know, but if you want something that is very special in the world of Mustang, that's kind of it. That's the one, this Cobra R.
It's interesting because your generation seemed to really kind of latch onto this car.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, the millennials really liked it. Didn't we have a guest on the other episode when we talked about this car, Michael Deeb, that was also a younger guy?
Might have been Lucky Lopez.
He's not younger though, and what does he know? He doesn't know shit. All right, so you're right though. I mean, the car is fantastic. There's no doubt about it. I just can't get past the fact that it looks like a $4,000 car. There are a million Mustangs that look exactly like it that are a fraction of the price.
I believe also to get one of these Rs, one of these early SN 185Rs, and I may have my models mixed up, you had to have a race license. They wouldn't sell it to you without a race license.
Is that right?
You had to be on Ford's program because these,
like
you said, these were built by the Skunk Works.
Yeah, they are race cars, basically inside and out. They don't have AC. They have the race seats, the roll cages.
I got to tell you what, Switcher Jesus belongs on this show. He is a nerd. What did you call it? An SN what?
SN 190.
I didn't actually want to know what you said.
That's the model number. Mark, our friend from Ohio, believes that this car went for $125,000. He thinks the biggest limiting factor is that the color. Which
really?
Yes.
You had a choice of red or no car.
Yeah,
wasn't
color
that it?
Is the color? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
It's the only color it came in.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then there you go. The one after this, they were all body and whites. Yeah.
There was another R after it.
Oh yeah, the model after this, the generation model after this.
Oh, the next generation R.
Yes,
okay,
they made another R, and that one you had to have a race license, and I don't even think that one was street legal.
Oh, well, all right. Okay, so here it is, a spectacular car by the numbers, maybe leaving something to be desired in style and cool factor, but bringing the money. Michael Deeb, what were the results of the auction on this car?
Just so you know, it was Lucky Lopez that we did review that car.
Without
further ado,
Lucky,
JP,
you don't know nothing. Did he get it right?
Again. I don't know. So I said 140, you said 130, and Wade, if I heard you right, you said 128,000 for this car.
So,
yeah. Wait, did Mental hop in on this one?
No,
I did not. I'm gonna say 130, but I also want to add in. Wade is correct. This is a tragedy. This car was designed to be beaten, and it's got less than 1,000 miles on it, and no one is ever going to drive it.
No.
It's crime.
How often do we see that? All right, Deeb, what were the results?
Our car sold for $133,000. JP, you won that one, but just 17 bids. Not a lot of action on the Ford Mustang Cobra R, the SVT Cobra R, but
$3,000 away from a Yahtzee, huh?
I honestly, I know you're gonna get really mad at me, JP, when I say this, but I think the guy who won this bought it right. I think he did really well for a sub 1,000-mile car. If you're speculating on the value of a car that they made just 300 of, when that GTT drops, he might get $150,000 for this car. I think he bought it really well.
I do have to weigh on this because our buddy Chef has joined the chat.
Uh-oh, Chef William from Vegas Auto Fest.
Absolutely. And Chef actually has some insight into this too. He said there is not a market in a $300,000 area for a new Mustang for that much money. Most people aren't looking for a Mustang. They're going to be looking for a GT40 or one of the number of cars that Wade listed off.
He's referring to the GTD, which I don't know. Yeah. I think the GTD is decidedly different enough from a regular Mustang that it has a distinct look. Regardless of whether or not you like that look, I certainly think the sensibilities are ridiculous on that car. But unlike this Cobra R, where the Cobra R really is just a bigger wing and a different nose, and a bunch of really cool performance options that I absolutely appreciate, but visually not that much different from a regular Mustang. GTD, totally different from a regular Mustang. So, what do you think, Wade?
I will say, if you remember the Mustangs of the late 90s, they were very bubbly, they were very boring. This one was a departure in a way from the Mustangs of that era, a little bit. It had a big wing, it had the front end. It was not this sort of bubbly, fun-looking convertible of the 90s Mustang. So it was something different, but, to your point for the GTD, I don't think that car is for a Mustang driver or a Mustang owner. I mean, it's just not. It's for somebody who maybe has a Ford GT or, is a collector of some sort or something like that. I don't think the GTDs will ever get driven anywhere. I think they'll be passed around like the Ford GTs and that kind of stuff. And, the person who buys that is probably somebody who already has a GT4 or GT3 or many number of other $300,000 to $400,000 cars. And it makes no difference to them what it is. It's just a special car that your rich neighbor didn't get.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Getting on that list. So from what I understand, I mean, Ford has a really hard time pricing things. I don't know if I'm betraying confidences, but there are people that we know in the Ford business, and when the recent version of the Ford GT came out, they had a panel of Ford executives trying to figure out how much to price the car for. They didn't have this planned out in the first place before when they were building it, saying, okay, what's our target price? It was build the car, then we'll figure out how much we're going to charge for it. And they had like a committee. And they could have priced that car for $1 million and they would have got it on every single one of them. But instead it was like $300,000 and all the dealerships charged a bunch of extra money on this. I know Deeb wants to hop in this because he knows what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, and I just want to ask Switcher Jesus because he's super into racing. Switcher Jesus, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ford didn't even build this car. Wasn't it a Canadian racing outfit that actually built the contemporary Ford GT for Ford? Wasn't that car built like across the border?
Okay, we're talking.
I am embarrassed to not know that. I do know that this is basically.
I think it's a famous Canadian race team that built it for him. Because Ford didn't have the.
Yeah, Ford doesn't have a true race car anymore with the demise of the GT40. So to go up against the new C8 Corvette, this is meant to go to IMSA, to go to Le Mans. You will see this car at Le Mans next year, battling it out with GT3s, battling it out with your prototypes. Yeah. This is basically Ford's excuse to go racing.
And Wade, we're going to hop in on that?
It's going to go head-to-head with Wade's car, by the way. It's going to go against the new Mercedes.
Lose, but it's going to go head-to-head.
I was going to say, too, to your point for the Ford GT, the first generation Ford GT, though, 507, 08, whatever it was, that actually didn't sell well. Yeah. Those sat in dealerships for a long time. And I think that was probably one of the reasons why they formed this committee and were very nervous about launching the second generation Ford GT. Because if they launched that car for $300,000 or $400,000 and no one bought it again, they would have been in serious trouble. But now, obviously it worked out and people love the first generation even more so, and all good.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any more comments before we move on to the next car? Okay, so love it when there's just dead silence. Nothing. All right. Hey, let us know what you guys think of the results of this Cobra R. What are your opinions? Did the car sell for too much? Did it sell for not enough? I'm in agreement with you, Deeb, and I think you were thinking the same thing, Wade. This is a good investment. As much as I don't like this car, I think the long term says that when cars come back as an investment, as the economy approves at some point, whether it's in 6 months or 6 years or whatever, I think this car, if any cars come back up, this is the type of thing that from a long-term point of view is a car that will do well. But I kind of think an apocalypse is coming, so just drive the car during the apocalypse and look cool while everything is burning down around you. Love it.
Get those nerds!